Hey everyone, it's Triple Laird here, and welcome back to Nimera Talk. Now, in this episode, we are going to answer question 6 from the last AMA and try to nail all of those out before the next AMA coming up in January. We're going to, of course, also look at the amazing things happening to EON, future NION, in the fiat trading pairs on the exchange and talk about global market news. And before the end of the episode, we will also be giving out $25 worth of EON to a lucky viewer. So let's not delay anymore, and let's get started. So first things first, I thought we'd take a look at the weekly development update from the Escudo team themselves. Now I have to say I've really been loving these every week updates. We're on to the third one now from the dev team, and it really does help connect the community to what's actually going on in the background. Now they say here there's some improvements to KYC and new pairs and stuff like that. So let's take a quick look. Onto the Nimera swap, they fixed a couple of old issues that were happening there. Just really, it looks like there's a couple back-end improvements there. Nothing that we would notice too much unless you were having any sort of problems, but it's great to see that those problems are fixed really fast. Tons here on channels. Wow. So basically they're saying that when new users were trying to register, there's some basic functions that were having an issue. Secure communication links here, registration stuff, and KYC. There seems to be a lot of stuff here around KYC. Some major changes are actually Tier 1 KYC does not require an email address anymore. So that's going to be a big thing to open things up a little bit more for users who don't want to provide too much information until they get started with the company. Crypto acquiring, they're saying, is working properly now. I'll have to test this out myself. And yeah, a lot of this, guys, just to point out, is aimed towards the Android update. If you have iOS like me, you might not have that full update yet, but it is coming soon. But yeah, guys, keep these updates coming. So as you guys know, we have an upcoming AMA with the Nimera CEO, Andrew Zamin. But what we want to do is go over each question from the last AMA, and sometimes they take a long time to break down each one. So today we're going to do question 6, and hopefully we'll have enough time to nail all of these off before the next AMA. That's going to probably happen about mid-January. So the question 6 asks, can you tell us more about EON 2.0? Has the development progress of EON 2.0 exceeded 50%? And do you know when EON 2.0 will be launched? Now, of course, this AMA took place before the rebranding to NION, so it will be the NION blockchain coming up in the future. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at Andrew's answer and then kind of stop at different points and break it down for kind of what's important to take out of this. So Andrew says verbatim, EON 1.0, or the current network, is sort of a test site for testing services that we plan to scale onto network version 2. I can confidently say that the first iteration of the network passed and tested and passed and confirmed our hypothesis, which we took into account with the new update. All of this makes sense. They wanted to see and make sure if their ideas on paper actually worked in a system. He says, EON 2.0, which is going to be NION 2.0, is a multi-network, okay, which has several contours: storage of account states, the first contour, and a payment network which is responsible for transactions, the second contour. The third contour is the user networks, which will allow to connect to compatible protocols within our network. This is how they kind of beat that triangle of having to have a blockchain have a limitation. They're using 3 different blockchains in essence that can talk to each other, but all serve a different purpose, which makes the most sense for each one. He says, the main task that we solved, the notorious transaction rate. We have about 1,500 transactions per second. I think it's more than necessary at the moment. The utility of business requirements, I'll explain with an example. Imagine that you create a contract on the network based on the current economic indicators. But by the time has passed and the costs and fees, like Ethereum gas, for execution of your contract has increased. So your contract becomes economically unprofitable. We have a way to solve this problem. And developing on the EON, soon to be the NION blockchain, you can be sure that the requirements for your contract execution will not change over time, regardless of how much network token costs and how much your network is loaded. So this is one thing with Ethereum that's happening on CryptoKitties, where there's so many transactions happening across CryptoKitties that everyone else was affected massively by that. And it's not even everything. I will save the biggest banger for the final reveal. The network itself is already ready. So he's saying Nion 2.0 is ready. We are now engaged in the testing environment. A new site, preparation and mitigation, obviously to mitigate that site over, or migration to migrate that site over, as well as documentation he hopes around December. So the idea here is that we might see EON or Nion 2.0 by the end of the season. Now, of course, this is being filmed on the 28th, so it's probably not going to be out until sometime in January. But the idea that they are in the test phase of this and we may see this and all the documentation that's coming out soon is pretty amazing. And I mean, it sounds like the best is only to come in the future. Okay, guys, please, if you have not yet and you have a question for the CEO, go over to the Nimera Weekly subgroup on the Nimera Discord chat and make sure to post, just put AMA and whatever your question is, or send it to me in a DM if you do prefer to be anonymous, and we will try our hardest to get all of your questions in there for the next AMA that's coming up mid-January. Now let's get on to a fun part here. If this is your address above me, EON currently, Nion in the future, you are the winner of $25 Canadian worth of EON, and I'll be sending that to you over the next few days. If you guys want to know how to win that, just basically subscribe and put your EON address or a EON address into the comments section below on this video, and we'll do the draw in the next week. Now on to the Nimera ecosystem health check. As you can see, all gateways are open and everything is green across the board. But we did have over the last week, starting about the 22nd going to the 24th, there was constant ongoing maintenance due to an urgent issue. Now, the team has said this was related to something that was going wrong within the KYC process on the exchange. But as of right now, all of that is corrected. It took them about 3 days to go back and forth and get that all done. And everything is looking good right now, and it's all repaired. Now onto the Nimera Exchange market news. We're going to take a really close look at the Nion Fiat pairs, okay? But of course, we'll take a look quickly at the BTC pairs as well. They don't have as much volume, so it's harder to ascertain the value off of these. Now, looking at BTC EON here, of course, we see it's up in the 880s, but look at the volatility through the week. It was all the way down to the 350s and then back up to the 700s and back to 350. We can't really use this one because there wasn't a ton of volume to go with it. But one interesting thing is buying EON against this pair, really there's about $20,000 up until we get to 96,000, and then there's one BTC there. So there's a massive room for improvement on these pairs. And now if we go over to the inverse pair there, what we're going to see there for EON BTC and BTC EON, they're very similar. There's about a 400% difference between the buys and sells throughout the week. This is just such a massive change, and we're going to have to take our major taker this week from the fiat pairs. Now I am very excited to go over to the Nion Euro page. What excellent performance this week, getting up to about 10 euro cents. That's even exceeding the USDT pair, which we will go into next. Now, the really exciting thing about this is you're going to see here that buyers of EON against this pair with their euro dollars are really, they were originally thinking that they could get it really cheap with somebody buying in, but those trades are not moving at all, period. So I think that these buyers are going to have to adapt to think and realize those cheap EONs are long gone. Now, what we can see here as well is that we are only like 800, 900 euros away from getting up to 14 cents at the time of recording this video, and it jumps up very staggered from that. So there's going to be some big change. There's a chance for some really big changes in price on EON over the course of the next week if this trend does continue. Now going over to the Nion USDT pair. Excellent volume there, around 59 grand, really good. And what we're seeing is, of course, the same price breakouts here around 14 cents USDT per EON. Now, of course, I use Nion and EON interchangeably until all of the logos are switched to one. But excellent news here. And one important thing I want to, if we look at the last little jump, so like the last 2 months for this pair, what we're going to see is we had a time that it hit quickly on a buy. It hit 49 cents, it hit mid 50s, and at one point it even hit into the 70-cent range per EON. So we are seeing a generalized trend that's very obviously occurring here, and the price equal to actually the euro pair. If you look up that book, the price is going to jump very quickly with only a few $1,000s really in between the current price of EON and the prices that we really have been yearning for for many years. Now, as a new addition to our market news, let's take a look at the swap. So first things first here, guys, we are on the stats page for the swap. You can go here to the swap and click statistics if you want to get to this page. Now, a couple of cool things we should look at. Number one being liquidity. The biggest pair here is about 111 or 112,000 euros in liquidity, but as we see here, we still have about $275,000 in liquidity. 275,000 euro dollars in liquidity across the board here, and that is pretty amazing. Some good little fees collected in some of these pairs. So those people that are actually providing liquidity right now are making great money off of this, and I believe that this is going to keep spurring up because every week we're seeing more volume. Even though that contest is done, every week we're seeing more volume here. Now, I know you guys are going to want to check out what's happening with the EON pair, and here it is there. Now, of course, it's still EON BTC. Soon it will be Nion BTC. We're just working on getting all of that logo stuff changed there. So liquidity really good, 78,000 euros, awesome. And one thing I want to point out is it really had the top volume here over the week on some of these, with 3,000 euros being traded. So I think that we can utilize this to say very easily that it is gaining in momentum really, really quickly, and about 15 euros there in fees generated for the liquidity suppliers. So again, we have about 1.2 million EON available and just shy of 2 BTC available, which these days that's like 60 grand in USD. So wow, things are really, really going up here. We can take a look at the couple transactions that we have specifically. We see people buying and selling all over the place, 30,000, 13,000, 20,000. But lots of purchases of EON and lots of people taking advantage on both buying and selling to this opportunity to have great volume with these two trading pairs. Now, as far as price goes on the swap, you're going to see it shows around, because you don't see the other decimals, but it shows around 3 euro cents. It could be 3.9 for all we know, because they only show here up until the second digit there. But what we can see here is that it is priced lower than the other fiat pairs, and that's because the pricing metric within the swap does work differently. But the important thing to remember with that is it doesn't mean you can just come buy as many as you want at that price. It's going to go up equally fast, and that is slippage. So every time somebody buys, say if we bought 1 BTC worth of EON right now, you're going to see that the price is going to go up 59% per EON on those. So there's really a massive change in price that happens when purchases get made on the swap. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. Overall, as an average across the board, I think our fiat prices for EON are so obviously going up, and it's pretty amazing. Now, quickly, we have to dive into our global market news. Wow, things are really on that bull. The bull is running fast. It is crazy right now. Now, of course, there were a couple losers this week. XRP taking a big hit because of some legal issues, as well as Link just due to normal trading behaviors. But of course, the big winners this week, we had Ethereum almost 7% up, and BTC hitting 14% gain on the last 7 days at the time of recording. So that is, it's absolutely like it's crazy. It's craziness what's happening. We know that it has the ability to do this as usership increases, as other larger investors move in. There's only so much to go around, and only 21 million people ever could hold 1 BTC around the entire planet. So of course, as this gains popularity, we're going to see increased prices and some crazy stuff happening right now. But the question is always, how sustainable is it? Okay, guys and girls, that's all I have for you for this week. Now, I would just ask one more time, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to these videos and put an EON address in the comment section below with your thoughts. And of course, you'll be entered into the next week's draw for $25 Canadian worth of EON. Also, guys, with the AMA coming up, get over to that Discord chat. If you haven't joined already, that's the definite place to be discussing this project, to be directly connected to the team and other investors like yourself. Thank you for watching so much. For Nimera Talk, I'm Trevor Laird.